Right, on the line now, I have my guest, Mick. Hi, Mick.
Hi, Carol.
How are you?
Not too bad, love. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Now, we are going to be talking about your new venture that you've got going.
Yes, the Get Sky Home dog units.
And can you explain what that is?
Obviously, my dog, Sky, was stolen 3.5 years ago, a female Rottweiler. And it came to me really as a way of advertising Sky's theft. So that when I was out and about driving, people would see the Get Sky Home logo on the side of the van, but also the fully kitted out dog unit. So it sort of snowballed into transporting dogs to rescues and dogs that had been found straying. And it all went from there really, and we've done dozens and dozens of transport runs now. It's virtually every week now. Is
that what you're doing full time now?
No, I still run my own business. I fit it in around my business commitments.
Excellent.
We're probably doing 2 or 3 runs a week now, so it is fulfilling a really good purpose. Plus, obviously, the vehicles are seen all over the country, and it's advertising Sky at the same time.
So you've got 2 vans now, haven't you?
I have, yes. I got the first one was a 4-cage ex-police dog unit, and I've just bought a newer 2-cage ex-police dog unit as well for the smaller dogs and for shorter runs. And it works absolutely ideal.
And how far do you actually travel for your rescues? Is it all over the country, or is it just local?
It's pretty much all over the country. We do quite a lot of local runs, but last week and the week before we're down as far as Weston-super-Mare, Stevenage, all over basically, Cardiff, Swansea. So yeah, we're quite far-reaching. I'll go anywhere as long as it's helping the dog get the rescue.
And is this because rescues in that area are full, or are they phoning you, or is it members of public phoning you and asking for your assistance?
It's pretty much dog rescue associations that are linked with the charity that I'm involved in. I'm a trustee of Animal Aid UK, and they contact us and see if we can help with the transportation. Sometimes it's a multi-trip rescue, whereas I'll meet somebody partway up the motorway and then take the dogs on to rescue. Sometimes I do it all in one go myself. But yeah, it's pretty much all over the country.
And I don't know whether you can talk about it, but what happened with the husky dog?
Well, one of the I was alerted by a member of the public, quite local to myself, the other side of Ripon in North Yorkshire, that a dog was in distress and had been abandoned by the owner who'd been evicted from her property. When I went up there, it transpired that there was actually 2 huskies.
Yeah.
One had already been removed by the RSPCA, who unfortunately for whatever reason had said they could only take 1 dog, and the dog that was remaining, the male, he was living in really atrocious conditions, and if it hadn't been for the neighbours he wouldn't have had any food and water. So I contacted the RSPCA and said that the conditions this dog had been left in were absolutely disgraceful, and that if the dog hadn't been collected by 6 p.m. that day, that I'd go and remove the dog. They didn't attend, so I went and removed the dog and took it to a rescue locally that I deal with quite a lot, Moorview Rescue. And then the dog that I took to Moorview was obviously pining for its partner. They'd been living together since they were puppies, and he wasn't coping very well with being on his own. So we got in contact with the RSPCA and explained the situation, and they agreed that I could then go to Chesterfield where the female had been taken, and I drove down to Chesterfield, picked Sasha up, and then took her to Millview as well, so that she would be with
excellent.
Caesar.
That's brilliant news. And obviously they're going to have to be rehomed together.
Yes, Millview are absolutely fantastic. They take pretty much 75% of the dogs that we're looking for rescue placements with, and they're an absolutely fantastic rescue. They really do go above and beyond to get these dogs rehabilitated and into the best possible homes, and Sasha and Caesar will be rehomed together. Oh,
that's fantastic. And have you done any this week? I know it's only Monday, but have you been out today?
No, I haven't done one this week. I did one on Saturday.
Yeah.
I did Tuesday, Friday and Saturday last week, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to Blackburn to pick a an ex-guard dog up that's no longer required and was advertised for free on Gumtree and take him to rescue. So his owners are signing the dog over to myself so that I can take him to rescue.
That's good that they've actually signed it over because, as you know, I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis, try and educate these people to stop giving their dogs away.
Yes, this dog was advertised for free on Gumtree. So we contacted the owners, explained that I worked on behalf of Animal Aid UK and what we were about, and assured them that there's some very unscrupulous people out there.
Of course there is.
And especially with it being a guard dog and a Rottweiler, it's highly likely that that dog would be used for purposes that it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
So we explained the reasons that it would be better for us to actually rehome the dog. And fortunately, the gentleman saw sense, and he's actually signing the dog over to me tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's really good news, Mick. I mean, it's ridiculous how many people, and I'm quite surprised how many people do actually give their dogs away, either free or a pittance of like £25 or something.
That's it. It's nonsensical, really. I mean, there's nothing good going to come of treating a dog like a piece of baggage.
Of course it isn't.
They've got feelings, and it must be horrendous for the dogs, the upheaval and not knowing what's going on. And we see some really bad cases, but that's the whole idea of what we do: try and get them off these selling sites and into rescue where they can be rehomed properly.
It amazes me because I actually did a email to Gumtree, and I spoke to them about the situation, about these dogs being given away, and they were saying that they work with Peter and DEFRA, and I said, well, no, you don't, because if you work with associations like that, you would know that you wouldn't allow these dogs to be advertised for free, because you know what's going to happen at the end of it.
Exactly. It's just a breeding ground for the people that are looking for the dogs for unscrupulous purposes, and that's how they're getting the dogs so easily, because unfortunately, there are owners out there, and I use that term very loosely, that just want to see the back of the dogs for whatever reason. They've got a new family, or they're moving home, or whatever sad reason that they come out with. And this is where these people get the dogs from, because they're so desperate to get rid of them, they'll give them to just about anybody.
Yeah.
And that's just feeding an already huge problem. And that's where organisations like Animal Aid UK and Animal Lifeline UK, another dog welfare organisation I work closely with, that's where they come into things, and we try and get these dogs into a safe environment.
Had you worked with these people before, or was it since Sky went missing?
Well, it's quite weird how it worked. Alison Bell, who is one of my admin on the Get Sky homepage, she actually formed the charity Animal Lifeline UK and invited me to be a trustee. So I'm actually a trustee of the charity as well. So I work very closely with her and the other ladies on the admin team.
And they are based in North Yorkshire?
They are, yes. Yeah. Animal Lifeline UK is based in Leeds, West Yorkshire. Obviously I'm in Ripon, North Yorkshire. And we've got admin that are in Scotland, Wales, all over the country. So whenever we see a dog that we think we can help, obviously the first thing is to try and source a rescue space, which are surprisingly few and far between, because there's that many dogs out there that need rescue placements. So there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, and then it's down to me to jump in one of the dog units and go get them.
That's excellent. I mean, you know, we have a major problem in this country with unwanted dogs, with people that get fed up, because it does seem to be the same excuse: either the new landlord won't allow them to have the pet, or a new baby's come on the scene, and it always seems to be that is the repeated excuse all the time.
Unfortunately, some people just treat these dogs like commodities, and they're easy come, easy go. And I don't think they realise that these dogs have feelings as well. I mean, if I was left in a position where I had to choose between a new home and my dogs, I know exactly what would win. It wouldn't be moving into the new home that I'd have to get rid of the dogs to go to.
Exactly the same as me.
My dogs are my life. They're my kids, basically. I mean, we discussed this the last time we spoke. And there's not a reason on this planet that I would get rid of my dogs just to to make life easier, so to speak. It's they're part of the family and they should be treated as such.
I mean, when a lot of people, they buy it because it's a cuddly puppy and,
Yes.
you know, it's cute. And then as babies, they grow up.
Yeah.
And them puppies, the cute puppies, turn into adolescent dogs and then adult dogs.
Yes.
And I think that's when people start getting bored then, because they've got to realise that they've got to take that dog out and it's got to be fed.
They're no longer cute and cuddly.
Exactly.
But if you give these dogs the time that they need, they'll always be cute and cuddly. I mean, I've got 3 Rottweilers, a German Shepherd, and obviously Sky that's still stolen.
Yeah.
And they're all big dogs, but they're like nothing more than a cuddle. They're no different to kids in that regard.
That's exactly right.
Probably far more loyal.
Well, all dogs give unconditional love. I mean, I've seen some dogs in terrible states as well, and they wag the tail when they see you. And they've been through hell and back, and yet they're still happy to see people.
Well, the perfect example of that was the 2 Huskies.
Yeah.
Caesar that I rescued first and took to Moorview. When I eventually got hold of Sasha and took her up to Moorview, just the look of pure love on Caesar's face. And
bless.
He's a dog, but if he could have talked, he'd have cried. And it was so heartbreaking to watch. It was absolutely amazing.
I mean, he's a gorgeous-looking dog. I mean, you know, I'd seen the video that you put up, and you know, and it's a shame that these people, I know circumstances changing people's lives, but there are places out there that you can just ask for help. You don't need to dump.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, worst case scenario, if somebody finds themselves in a position where they've got to go into temporary accommodation for whatever reason that doesn't allow dogs, there are places out there that'll provide emergency boarding for short-term periods till that person can source themselves another accommodation where they can take the dogs. And this is what we try and explain to people.
Yeah.
You don't have to get rid of the dog. That should be the last possible avenue. But unfortunately for some people, it's the first avenue they take. And that's why organisations like Animal Aid UK and Animal Lifeline UK, that's where they have to step in and try and get these dogs to safety.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that, I mean, you know, I watch a lot of dog programmes as well, and like the Battersea, when they get, is it Grenfell Tower?
Yes.
They boarded a lot of their pets that were in them flats as well. That's how I knew that a lot of dog rescues do board if there is an emergency crisis, and they did. Right. You know, and there is help out there, and a lot of people, probably 90% of people now have a Facebook account.
Yes.
And they've only got to ask anybody, and they'll be flooded with answers.
That's right. I mean, we get inquiries all the time from some very genuine cases that not everybody's the same, that have fallen on hard times, they can't afford the vet bill, or they've got to go into hospital and there's nobody to look after the dogs. And that's where Animal Lifeline UK and other such organisations, there's many of them about, that's why they're so crucial, because there are places that can help you, as you say, and sometimes people just aren't aware of the help that's out there. And that's where we come into things and get these dogs to safety wherever we possibly can.
That's exactly right. I mean, here in Norfolk, and I think they're set up in Devon somewhere, we have called Cinnamon Trust, where there's a lot of elderly people that have to go into hospital, whether it's short-term or long-term, and they take the dogs in and they look after them until they get returned. They're always asking for dog walkers because there's people that's confined to the house that can't take the dogs, but these people will not get rid of their dogs because it's their life.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. It's the companions. And they are family. That's something I keep going over and over again to people. They are family, and they give such unconditional love that they're so loyal. And why should they be just discarded like rubbish when people's circumstances change? It beggars belief in my world, anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were, you know, I'm always talking to different people, and the one main thing is obviously the dog theft that keeps rising on a daily basis.
That's right.
And it doesn't
it's getting beyond a joke now.
Well, exactly, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And I know that the government obviously are working on this Brexit situation, but I do think they need to look at this and really introduce these harsher sentences. They've got to have some kind of deterrent now, because it's getting ridiculous.
It is, yeah. And I mean, Dr. Daniel Allen and quite a few other very well-known people, Sir Bruce Forsyth's daughter, Debbie Matthews, they've all been heavily involved in the pet theft reform, pet theft petition to actually get dog theft classified as a crime in its own right.
And they reached the target on that petition as well.
Yeah,
and it's still going on.
It's in for its second reading, but it is still going on. And I understand that there's lots of other important things that need dealing with, but pet theft is at such epidemic proportions now that really have to do something about it, because dogs are being stolen every single day for ransom, for breeding, for fighting, and it is out of control.
I mean, as you know, I talk to a lot of people who have had their pets stolen. We're an internet radio, but we do go all over the world, and I like to give that person that platform, because one day their dog could be found. I spoke to a gentleman a couple of weeks ago who, after 8.5 years, had his Labrador returned.
That's right, the black Labrador.
Totally shocked, and he was still shocked when I was speaking to him days later. But it can happen.
It can. There's always hope out there. I mean, 90% of dogs are chipped now. I mean, it is law to have them chipped. The problem we've got is it's not actually a requirement of law to scan them. And we've campaigned quite heavily to make it common practice and good practice for every single vet in the country to routinely scan a dog when it's taken into their surgery.
And the thing is, Mick, it doesn't take a second to do that.
No. I mean, we all, Animal Aid UK, all carry scanners. I've got one in each vehicle, and every time I pick a dog up for whatever reason, whether it be a stray or an owner surrender, I routinely scan that chip, because if somebody says to me, that's my dog and I want to rehome it, I've only got their word for it, but there is always a possibility that dog has been lost or stolen prior to it, and they're basically just getting rid before it's too hot to handle.
But that's right. And if you go back to Rob, who had his dog returned after 8.5 years, I'm sure, because he said the dog was in fairly good condition, just elderly now. Now, surely between then as 6 months old up until he was found at 8 and 9 years old, that dog must have visited some kind of vet.
Exactly.
But it's never ever been scanned until this vet scanned it and found that Rob Smith still owned that dog.
That's right. And I mean, my vets is a perfect example. They are common practice that every single new animal, not just dogs, cats as well, that enters their surgery is scanned automatically. And they do it because I've instilled it into them. They were doing it themselves already, but I really do go overboard on this and say you've got to scan every new dog that comes in, because you've only got that person's word where that dog's come from.
I mean, when I moved to Norfolk, we registered with the local vet, and they examined the dog. And the first thing I said to them, "Can you please scan the dogs? Can you ensure that these dogs belong to me? I want you to tell me who they belong to, because they didn't know me. I don't know them, and they didn't know me, and they didn't know my dogs. And it was me who brought it to the attention that, look, it needs to happen. It needs to happen."
That's right. I mean, some people acquire dogs, I'll use that term very loosely, acquire dogs in good faith. They've no idea of the background of that dog, and they take it along to a vet, and then it might well flag up as lost or stolen. And that's a heartbreaking position for them to be in, because they've technically done nothing wrong. But at the end of the day, that dog's got an owner out there somewhere that's beside themselves. We're worried, as I am with Sky. And that's one of the things I pray for, that sooner or later Sky is taken to a vet and that she's scanned, and then as soon as she's scanned, it'll flag up automatically that she's been reported stolen. So that's the best real hope that we've got, and for so many other owners as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for everybody that I speak to when they come on. Some, they're quite confident that, when they're talking to me, but then I get the other ones that are upset, and I do ask them if they want a break, but they want to carry on talking. I just talk to them as if I'm just having a telephone conversation with them. I don't do a question and answer thing, because I just think they just need to get their information out there. And I try and warn everybody, look, it's not an interview where you would get on another local radio station where you get 5 minutes. You get as long as you need to put your plight out there and tell everybody what you want them to know. Characteristics, you name it, you can mention anything you like. I don't have any bars on anything, so you know,
fantastic.
You know, and I do try my best. I do try and be fair with everybody. You know, it's got me into a little bit of trouble with a couple of little things, because I ended up having the police phone me a couple of weeks ago, and they came on, and it did cause a little bit of controversy with a group and this police officer. But you know, we had to get it out there, because he had to put his side, and then we had the legal side come on. So you know, it's I don't mind, because I have to stay impartial. It doesn't whatever I feel, you know, I keep it private, but I have to stay impartial when it comes to talking to people. I might not agree with everything that people say, but I try my best for everybody to get their story out there. Make sure that hopefully, you know, their dog's going to be noticed and found. And what you do with your vans and having Sky all plastered all over it, I think it's fantastic. You know, and you really need to be commended for it, Mick, because you've been doing a fantastic job over the last couple of years, really. And now you've got these vans. Well, you're helping even more strays, and it's just fantastic what you do.
Thank you.
You really do.
It's a way of keeping a name out there. I mean, it's 3.5 years now, and I'm under no illusions that I've got to be really lucky now. But we try everything we possibly can. I mean, obviously, social media, the media such as yourselves, television, it's absolutely fantastic. But maybe, just maybe, I'll be driving down the motorway one day and somebody will see that van and think, I know where that dog is. Exactly.
And that's how simple it is. That's how simple it is. Mick, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you've come on. I'm glad you're doing everything you can for these dogs. They really deserve somebody to stand up for them, and you're one of them. And I commend you on that. I really, really do. And just carry on the fabulous work.
I will do.
All right.
Won't ever give up.
No, definitely not. All right, then. You take care then, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, Carol.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.